Hi guys, it's Kirsty. Today I want to do a video about OCD and dreams, but before I go into that, please do subscribe by clicking on the subscribe button below in order to stay up to date with new videos as they're released. So I wanted to do a video about dreams and OCD because it's something that I experience quite a lot, and I understand that it's quite common amongst OCD sufferers after having spoken to a few about it. The thing is here is that there's not really a black or white explanation to it. I have tried to research it a little bit when I was in my more stuck days, but more recently I've tried to research it for the sake of this video so that I can give more clear reasoning and answers. But the problem is that there's still no certain explanation for dreaming. So obviously some people believe that dreams mean something, and this could be extremely triggering for an OCD sufferer. Like with psychoanalysis, it can kind of lead you to dig deeper and deeper and analyse and get a bit too caught up in that and go down OCD rabbit holes. And it can be a little bit unhelpful actually if you kind of hold on to that belief. But there is an element of, because we don't know for certain that they don't mean anything, there is an element of having to face uncertainty there and go with the uncertainty that, you know, maybe my dreams mean something, maybe they don't. But like with when we have our obsessions during the day, we work on disputing our rational beliefs in order to be able to accept the uncertainty of whether it's true or false, and try not to analyse it and dig into it to try and work that out. And the same can apply to dreams. That's the approach that I've started to take with it, because otherwise you can just get caught going round in loops again. So I do have dreams about OCD quite often, all kind of related. But the good thing to remember here is that actually people who don't suffer from OCD have weird dreams all the time and just have dreams, you know, about things that they don't particularly like and they don't particularly want to happen. But for us, those of us who have OCD, we might feel a little bit triggered by it. And sometimes I do wake up and I feel, and I wake up kind of maybe with the intrusive thought coming from the dream or feeling perhaps. What I have found is that my dreams around OCD themes have seemed to increase the more I've recovered. And I wonder if it's perhaps the less we're analysing things during the day, you know, as we start to work through changing our rational beliefs to more rational beliefs, we're able to leave the thoughts there a bit more. And that's when we bring the fear down, and that can help us to reduce our rumination and other compulsions, whatever they might be. For me, my last major compulsion was rumination, which I wasn't able to just stop like that because it almost felt a bit uncontrollable to me until I brought my fear levels down. But I've wondered if perhaps because I'm not giving, if a thought does pop up, I'm not giving it a huge amount of importance during the day, so maybe it comes up in my dreams. But also I've wondered if perhaps because my worst time with my OCD suffering is amongst my most stressful times in my life, that's why my brain kind of goes over it. I don't know. These are my own theories about it, really. But the reason I wondered that is because there's three other topics that I seem to replay. One of them is around my mum when she was unwell before she passed away, and sort of just various things that came up then. One of them goes back to school kind of periods, or being at sixth form and needing to take exams but not being prepared. So that reminds me of my final year of university when I had to retake a module that I'd failed. And I'd also failed to show up for the resit of the exam as well. So that's maybe something that's kind of stuck with me as at the time, maybe was the most stressful thing I'd gone through before what happened with my mum. Another thing that comes up is something is things happening in my city in London, like terrorism and things like that, because that was something that I had found very scary when it was happening. And then the final thing is various aspects of the things that came up with our OCD. So I wondered if, when obviously the terrorism bit's separate, that's kind of something that's always cropped up from time to time, as ever since I was a child, depending on what was going on in the news. And then the other things, the sort of three other things, my university exam period, my mum's illness and my struggle with OCD were probably the three most stressful times in my life. And this seems to be kind of recurring for me in my dreams. So I wondered if perhaps, you know, it's more for me is that I kind of go back to the thoughts that I'd had when I was at my worst with OCD. But I'm kind of analysing it right now for this video because I think it's an interesting subject and because other people have mentioned it, but it's something that I need to try not to go into too much kind of analysis and research mode about, because I will never get certainty about what if it does mean something that these things come up. What if there is some hidden meaning? There may well be, but like during the day when I'm trying not to work that out, when I wake up after having one of these dreams, I try not to work it out. Even if I wake up and I feel like kind of almost a bit of an obsession, maybe there is an intrusive thought that has been kind of continued on from the dream or something, I just let it be there, don't analyse it, don't read into it. Maybe it means something, maybe it doesn't. I'm going to choose to live my life as if it doesn't mean anything. So there have been times in the past where I felt a bit down about having kind of anxiety related or slightly stressful dreams. But more recently, it doesn't tend to get me down, and that's because of my perspective. So previously, I would think, oh God, it's stressful during the day because you're working through OCD recovery and you're trying to fit that in with the rest of your life and all the other things you need to do. You go to bed, you just want to relax and have a bit of light relief, but then you go to sleep and it's all there again. But unfortunately, there's not a quick fix for this. Nightmares, dreams and all of that are a fact of life for people who don't suffer with OCD or anxiety or haven't experienced trauma. It's a trauma. I'm not American. Trauma. So it's something that other people experience, and it's not just people who struggle with mental health difficulties, and they don't enjoy it, they don't like it. They might wake up feeling a bit off, but they don't tend to spend too much time going over it. So I try to take that approach with it, to be honest, and just think, well, it's just a part of, it's a part of what happens with human beings and the brain and within the sleep cycle. Because I feel like if you dwell on it and get too upset about it, it's just another kind of layer of unpleasant feelings that you're adding onto everything else, when you want to keep your focus on kind of moving forward and recovering, and try not to get too hung up on feeling sorry for ourselves because we can't get the peace that we think we must get in our sleep. And that's another thing. It's kind of, we might have some irrational beliefs surrounding sleep. So I must get sleep, I must get rest, and I must have a restful sleep. If not, it's awful. Or, if I don't have some relaxation in my day, even when I'm asleep, then it's completely awful. And again, it's kind of, that's the whole changing of the perspective thing that it's good to work on. Don't should all over yourself about what your dream should be about, or you must not have these dreams. Your sleep time must be your time where you actually get to experience some peace. I do think for me, the fact that I have certain dreams that are related to my OCD themes, I think to me that is my cue to remember that although I feel like I'm kind of in a good place recovery wise. I don't think I'm 100% there, but I'm kind of happy with where I'm at the moment. It's important to continue working on your recovery, and even if you were kind of at a point where you could hand on heart say I think I'm recovered right now, you still want to maintain that. And in order to maintain that, we need to make sure that we're not dipping back into old habits, or dipping back into old behaviors, or mental ritualizing or rumination or anything like that. And what can help us with this is to continue from time to time returning back to our disputing of irrational beliefs. So for me, if I'm dreaming about my period of time where I was particularly bad with my OCD, maybe there's a part of me that's still scared of it, in which case maybe I need to just still continue doing a bit of disputing from time to time to make sure I'm strengthening these new beliefs and that old beliefs don't start taking over again, and that we think certain things are awful again. It's very much kind of, to me, an indication of the fact that maintenance of where we are in recovery is just as important as recovery, getting ourselves to that point in the first place. We can't just expect these new rational beliefs to just stick there without, maintaining them to be rational, because the people that we're around might not be very rational, and that can influence us. Or the programs we watch, the news we listen to, the music we listen to might not be very rational. It could be very easy to find ourselves treading the road more trodden, whatever the expression is, mentally, and going back down those neuro pathways, or whatever scientific thing you would use to describe it, and start going down the thought trains of old irrational beliefs. So we need to keep our tools, our recovery tools, sharpened. And I think that, the dreams might not be anything to do with that. There's no certainty. But for me, I wonder if that's something there that I still need to make sure that I don't think it would be awful if I went back to that point where I was at my very worst suffering. Just to make sure that, that isn't a fear, and, obviously I could stand it, etc. Just to make sure that those rational beliefs that, got me to the point where I'm not ruminating as much during the day, and that I'm not getting stuck very often, just to make sure that I'm still using those tools that got me to that point. And I think that's something that's, maybe the dreams can be used as a motivation to continue working on becoming more rational. I hope this video has been helpful. I'm sorry that it doesn't give any black or white answers in terms of whether dreams mean anything, or if it's definitely, intrusive thoughts in the dreams, or all of that stuff. It's really a video about my own theorizing about it, because it's something, as I said, I've experienced myself. But I hope that the points that I've mentioned maybe can be slightly helpful to you if it is something that you're experiencing and it's either triggering you, you're not quite sure how to approach it, or perhaps if it's making you feel a bit down, because I understand that, having felt that myself before, but that is something that you can work on. But anyway, I'd just like to say, please do take care, and I will see you soon. Bye.